I love that theme song.
Me too.
It's so funny.
I just want to dance.
It's kind of North Stonington-ish, right?
Isn't it?
Well, we are having a blast. Welcome to Mystic Matters. I'm Kristin Hartnett, Greater
Jessica
Mystic
Patterson.
Chamber of Commerce.
Sorry. Hi.
Hey, Jessica.
Oh, Jessica Patterson, Groton Parks and Recreation. That's Kristin. She's great.
We're so pleased to be together again on Mystic
Yay.
Matters.
Yay.
And thank you, Jessica, for pinch hitting.
Of course. Always a pleasure.
Excellent. Hello to Susette. We miss you very much.
Hi.
Everything's fine. She's just, off and about and around in town.
Busiest person I know.
I know.
I know.
Best. One of the best people, too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Mystic Chamber of Commerce is having a business after hours tomorrow, and that is at the hospice in Norwich. Always a great spread.
Absolutely.
And we're going to have Charter Oak scanning there as well. They preserve memories.
Yes.
Yeah. And they they can organize your photographs.
Can they organize my life?
I don't know.
No? Okay. I figured I'd try.
I mean, they could maybe. That's a good question. Maybe they should have a department where they organize your life.
Hashtag yes.
I think you're pretty good.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
So, the Mystic Chamber of Commerce, we have a lot of great members. One of them is Foxwoods Resort Casino.
They're great.
They're very supportive,
Yeah.
and so they're underwriters of this show. And they spend a lot of money on charity all year round.
Yeah.
So we're grateful to them. And speaking of nonprofit organizations that are members of the Chamber,
Yes, let's speak of them.
we have guests this evening. We're thrilled to have the Noank Community Support Services, some of the staff and the guest. Welcome.
Thank you for having
Hi.
us. We're excited
Hello.
to be here.
Yes, so we'll introduce Regina Moller, who is the Executive Director.
I am indeed. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for having us. And how about I give you a little history about our agency?
Sure, well, we'll tell you who else is here. Denaja's here. Okay, Denaja's in the house. And Denaja, you were a former client, and now you are a success story. So you're here to tell us about that.
Right.
And Kara apparently has been running the show for 20 years? So how long have you been at the?
20 years.
Oh, excellent.
Congratulations.
And what's your title now?
I'm the Director of Community-Based Services.
Okay, Director of Community-Based Services. So we have a whole crew of angels here.
Yeah.
And yes, we're thrilled to hear a little bit about Noank Community Support Services. Regina, tell us.
Sure. So we are a nonprofit, and we keep getting larger and larger, but we started small. So back in the 60s, there was a family in the Noank area there that decided that they had a house on Main Street in Noank, and they wanted to donate it to the church, Noank Baptist Church at the time. And they did such. It was a beautiful 1879 Victorian house. They donated it, and their stipulation was that you had to use it to do some sort of social services.
Oh, I love that.
So in sort of came in the beginnings of Noank Community Support Services. At that time was called Noank Baptist Group Homes. What they did was they took that house and they put 9 girls in it from the state that have sort of failed in foster care, that kind of thing, and put them in the home and worked with them to help them become more independent, get back out in the community. So that then was so successful that the agency was able to, through the church, purchase another property in the Mystic area, and they put, I think it was 10 girls in that house. So originally the agency had those 2 group homes going for a while. And then they decided, well, we can do a little more, so they started a program that Kara's going to talk a lot more about, and Denaja, what's called CHAP, a Community Housing Assistance Program for men and women, young women. And then the state kind of changed some of their rules, as happens now and then, and you could no longer have 9 people in a house, and it kind of moved down to 5. So eventually, they had those 2 group homes, and one of the group homes started working with a grant program from Juvenile Services, and they had girls that were part of the JJ, Juvenile Services, we call JJ, part of the JJ population. And then when that closed down, somewhere around that time, 2013, I came in and we started to change things up a bit. Prior to that, recognizing that the agency had been affiliated with Noank Baptist Group Homes, and that wasn't quite helpful. When you're a nonprofit and you're associated with some religious organization, it limits your ability to do some things, certainly to apply for grants and other things like that. So they changed the name, and they became Noank Baptist Group Homes, and then it became Noank Group Homes and Support Services. And then when I came on board, we started looking at, well, what are we really doing?
Right.
We didn't operate just in Noank. We have programs and services for clients in really Greater New London region, certainly Mystic area, but further and beyond that region. So, but we didn't want to lose our history. So we didn't want to take the Noank away. So we ended up switching it to the current name of Noank Community Support Services. And it depends how you read that, I guess. You could say Noank Community Support Services or Noank Community Support Services. We're hoping you'll do the latter, because it is beyond Noank, but Noank is just the history.
So the people that come to your services now are not necessarily people that live in Noank.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So when I came on board, we looked at what else we could offer, because there were tremendous needs in the community. So we've expanded quite a bit from the beginnings of group home services only. So we still have one group home in Ledyard for girls. And they come from the state, so it's a DCF, Department of Children and Families funded program for them. We also responded to a need during the Obama administration to house immigrant unaccompanied children. So we began a house program in Mystic region. Locations remain undisclosed for security reasons, but we have 9 under 18, some of moms and babies that have come from Central America and came unaccompanied without their parents.
I can see why we didn't know much about it.
Yeah.
It was a very controversial subject
Right,
per se,
right.
but this is a great idea of what you're doing. That's wonderful.
It
Thank
sounds like
you.
you're not only like helping to secure the futures, but you're empowering them by the programs that you're offering.
Right, right. And we do
That's awesome.
schooling on site. And then what we were recognizing was a need in the region for, well, we have some wonderful programs for homeless. So we work collaboratively with Always Home, the shelter, and New London Homeless Hospitality Center. But one thing that was missing in the region, sort of a niche that needed to be filled, and we all talked about it, and we have the experience, 48 years, of working with adolescents and teens and young adults. So then we opened the only homeless shelter for 18 and 24-year-olds in all of southeastern Connecticut.
Oh, wow.
And we did it first as a pilot for about a year. No funding, that was challenging. But it worked, and it worked so well that we were able to be part of the state's youth, homeless youth demonstration project, and was able to get some funding to keep that shelter ongoing. So we have 9 homeless youth that are in the shelter. They're grateful that they're there and not at an adult shelter, because as you can imagine, if you're a young adult and you're being influenced by maybe some chronicity of homelessness or other triggers or challenges, even to their safety. So when they come to our shelter, they actually have a chance to say, whoa, I can stop and focus on my issues and set some goals to ending homelessness. And we get them apartments, we get them jobs. A couple we've gotten into colleges.
Wow.
Really good success. And then as part of that sort of homeless reach, we coordinate the homeless youth count in January. We go out in the cold or whatever, and we're counting youth. Kara's helped with that, I know. And we also have something called the Youth Navigator, who sort of goes out in the whole region and tries to reach out to these youth that are homeless. And when I say homeless, we're not talking somebody who's, holding the sign up at the mall. For youth, when they're homeless, they're often couch surfing with their friends. They may be just staying at an adult shelter where they don't and shouldn't be. They may be sleeping in their cars, that sort of thing, or they're going from not just couch to couch, but also shelter to shelter or something like that. And their circumstances could be that they simply maybe they had a roommate, and maybe they had a job, but the roommate left and now they can't make the rent. So now they're evicted and homeless. So various circumstances, and we try to reunify them with family and supports, and again, very much success stories there. So that's the 3 residential houses of programs that we have.
Now, Denasia, did you take advantage of one of these programs? Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your story, about how you got involved.
Yeah, sure.
Well, Denasia's was an community-based program of CARES, yeah.
Okay.
So do you want to talk about the community-based programs?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So we offer an array of community-based programs. One of them is called the Mental Health Waiver. And the Mental Health Waiver is a Medicaid for Medicaid individuals with serious mental illness. And the goal behind that is to keep them out of nursing homes and live out in the community in their own apartments with staff helping them with daily life skills, taking them to doctor's appointments, helping them grocery shop, and there's case managers involved. So that is one of our programs that we offer. And we also have several DCF credentialing programs. We offer supervised visitation. We offered support staff and temporary care staff. The program that Denasia was involved in is one of our most popular programs. It's called the CHAP program, which is Community Housing Assistance Program. And that is for young adults, 18 to 23-year-olds that have grown up in DCF care. And when they turn 18, they can go into an education route. And so we provide case management services that help them get into college, do a vocational school, help them with employment, find housing, and many different domains of life skills, money management, transportation. So that is something that we have right now.
Now, how many people are on staff, or do you have volunteers? Like when you say they help, who's helping?
I
Right now
wish
we
we had
have-
volunteers.
Oh, so you are looking for volunteers.
We are always looking for
So
volunteers,
let's- so
donations.
That's
please,
my
we could
number one
use some.
question is how do people help? Because everything that you guys are listing off from like a social equity perspective, I just think
Right.
yes, you are not only doing it, but you're obviously doing it well.
Yes.
How do we help?
We can always use donations, volunteers. We have yearly, you probably see the banners in Mystic. We have our gala fundraiser is the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
And it's at the Mystic Arts Center. It's a wonderful event, all the food and beverages included, and it's just a wonderful time. And people do get to watch the horse race as well. So those types of ways, we are always looking for support, absolutely. But I want you to hear Denasia's story. It's really
Sure.
awesome.
Hi.
Hi. So I had a pretty tumultuous childhood, and by the age of 17, I had entered into the care of the Department of Children and Families in Connecticut. At the time, I was a senior in high school in Colchester, and I was kind of separated from my family. Things were really falling apart there. I was living in a friend's basement and trying to piece my life back together while also trying to focus on applying for colleges that I had no idea how I was going to afford, but knew I needed to get to if I wanted to kind of escape that pattern that was going on in my family and just build a future for myself. And so I finally had the opportunity to do that when I turned 18 and remained under the care of DCF and learned I was eligible for the CHAP program. So what the chat program did for me was it offered emotional support and life skills building from my case manager, who I met with regularly and who was always seemed to be on call. Started off as Kara, actually, and then Kara got promoted, and I got someone else who was also amazing, and just always there to help celebrate any successes I had while I was in college, and then also coach me through any failures or hard times, help me set goals and transportation and everything like that. And then on the other end, I got financial assistance in the form of securing an apartment and helping pay for rent and furnish that apartment, as well as tuition assistance. So whatever my scholarships couldn't cover, was always seemed to be covered by the chat program and DCF. So with that financial assistance and emotional support, that kind of eased that burden so that I could kind of be put on a level playing field with all of my peers and just start focusing on healing from what I'd been through, but also building a better future and trying to thrive in college, which I was luckily able to do because I had that support.
Not just a little bit thriving, quite a few accolades in college as well.
Now, is there criteria for any of the those who take advantage of the program? Is there a criteria for keeping up with the program and still qualifying, like every year, getting that assistance, that kind of thing?
If you are in the chat program, you need to keep a 2.0 grade point average.
Okay,
Yes.
that's not bad.
No?
Yeah.
I feel like you probably had higher than that.
she
Like,
was a lot
let's
higher.
just be honest with how well spoken you are. I mean,
Yes.
So what happened in college? Tell us a little bit about how you flourished.
It was a life-changing experience. I was able to take advantage of every opportunity that was presented to me. I did keep above a 2.0 GPA. I just graduated with a degree in marketing and communications, magna cum laude, and debt-free.
Wonderful.
And yeah, in college I was a peer advisor, I was a teacher's aide, I worked in the alumni office, I was a cheerleader for a little while, wrote for the school newspaper, worked at open houses, went on trips, really just tried to take advantage of absolutely everything I could, as well as like building up my resume and some transferable skills for business. So getting internships, experiential learning courses, and yeah, it definitely worked out for me. I had a great experience.
I feel like I'm sitting here in awe of her. Like, I'm serious.
Yeah, it sounds like a wonderful fairy tale, but obviously it's a true
And a lot
story.
of hard work. Like, you obviously busted your butt.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Like, seriously, congratulations. I hope
Thank you.
everyone that has the opportunity to hear your story says that, because you deserve it. Like,
Thank you. I had a drive where I always knew I wanted to go to school. No one in my family had ever done so before, and once I was separated from my family, it almost seemed impossible. But I had a lot of good support in my community that were able to help give me rides and everything, and help just push me to like get my job and start saving my money. And I still didn't know, I needed some extra push and some extra support that others couldn't give me, and that's what the program offered. And then all along the way, instead of worrying about where I was going to live or how I was going to afford tuition, I got to just put all of that energy and kind of like all of my drive into just succeeding in college, and that's what I was able to do.
Instead of just surviving.
Instead of surviving, thriving. So yeah, now I'm
hashtag.
now I'm working full-time. I'm in a pretty competitive rotational program at Mass Mutual up in Springfield. I'm living in Connecticut, and I'm obviously working in marketing, but I'm also on the board of directors. So I try to offer a unique perspective of someone who's benefited from one of the phenomenal programs, but also offer the perspective of a young professional just starting a career in marketing.
Well, that's wonderful. Now,
Yes.
Kara, you must have seen lots of young people thrive, and through this, can you tell a little bit more about that, about seeing this miracle happen?
It's amazing because sometimes we get a lot of calls later on after they have left us, and you hear the stories like, thank you for taking me to get my driver's license. Just those little things that it makes you feel good that you helped in that little way.
That's wonderful. And so would a volunteer be involved in somebody's story like that? Like perhaps they would help them with transportation or something like that? How would a volunteer be able to touch someone's life?
Well, since there are varied programs in the agency, there's similarly, there's varied possibilities for volunteers. So I was thinking first about the shelter. So our shelter, for example, if somebody could just say to me, you know, I only want to come in for an hour, no regular hour, maybe hour once a year. Just come on into the shelter, sit and, I don't know, sit down with the young adults and play a game of cards, anything, just to interact with them. Sometimes these folks have not had the opportunity just to socialize. They haven't had the opportunity to be respected and, you know, have a conversation, look in the eye. Maybe talk to them about any job opportunities or networking that would help them in their progression from homelessness to actually getting back into the community. In the homeless work field, there's a approach you take called housing first. And it's really about, it's sort of what you mentioned, Denisha. It's once you've got that other stuff taken care of, the basic needs, then you can stop and focus on the other things that are important in life and goals and so forth. So, you know, volunteers could just come in and help relieve some of the staff that might be there for an hour while they're going to work on some of the housing plans, be with some of the other residents. We have volunteers that want to, as you say, transportation, could do some driving for us. Volunteers in the girls' homes that might want to work on some activities with them. Sometimes we take our clients out who, in the community, of course, they want to have as much normalized experiences as we can. And, you know, there's only so much staff you have that can cover, but a little extra always makes the experiences better.
Yeah.
Volunteers do have to get background checked, just as our staff do. But there are some opportunities for volunteers on a shorter term basis that wouldn't require all of that extensive, as though you were applying for a position.
Now, when is
checking.
your gala again? When does that come around?
The Kentucky Derby is usually that first Saturday in May. The food is very graciously provided by another board member who has, the Kadamas have, Go Fish have several restaurants in the region. And so the food is fantastic.
Wow.
The beverages and drinks are always flowing, the mint juleps and, and so forth. We have a band, we have
Okay, do. Okay, I just want to make sure.
cornhole, you know, dancing. It's a great night. And we've had quite a good crowd the last couple of years, and we're always looking to grow it more because it really is our major and only fundraiser that we do for the year. So supporting that would be very much appreciated.
Now, Regina, how did you come into this position, and have you always been in a nonprofit world?
I have not always been in a nonprofit world. This is sort of a second career for me in a way, and following some things that were on my bucket list. I've been trained as a psychiatrist and left for several reasons, for some helping with family, and because I recognized that I really wanted to develop some things in the behavioral health field. So I left to do that and said, well, I'm going to go work for a nonprofit because I don't want a for-profit and really make a difference. And so I've been excited to be here. I've been at other places in Connecticut and Massachusetts, as my Boston accent probably gives away, right? And so part of the homeless shelter was something I always wanted to do, and I'm really excited that it's flourishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
One of the things that I loved hearing too is when you had mentioned about partnering with other nonprofits in the area, like Always Home, because Betty, who we all know, we love, I think it kind of gives it that little extra kind of community interest point when we're talking about, like, what you guys are doing is obviously important, right? I mean, we can all see that. Being able to connect it with almost kind of the prevention side of it, so you can see if this could be taken care of, all of these things,
Yes.
there wouldn't be a need for them, but there is a need for them, and that's why you're doing, like, the miracle work, to your point, that you're doing. Like, it's really important, and you're obviously doing a great job. Like,
Well, there's a
I
lot
don't
of
know. But you-
judgment that comes from being homeless. too.
Totally,
Yeah.
right.
As if that person, you
Did
can't
something
trust them, or
wrong,
they did
or-
something wrong,
yeah.
and if you give them housing or education or money,
You're getting rid of those like those negative stereotypes, and even the fact that we can sit here and talk about like mental health, right? Like that's one of those big things that like in society that I'm so happy that we can address those issues now, and it's not like this secret like shh, we don't want to talk
Right,
about that. Like
right.
no, let's talk about it. Let's make it normal, and it's I don't know. I think it's
But
great.
Jessica, your point about collaboration is so important because we recognize, especially if we're focusing just for a moment on the homelessness in the region, the state has recognized that you need to all work together. And there's a thing called, in our region, a coordinated access network. So it's all the providers in the region that get together and we say, well, you can provide this, you can do that. And so we're not competing, we're really
Yeah.
trying to put it all together. And in fact, we just got a grant, community development block grant, in collaboration with, through Stonington, the town of Stonington, in collaboration with Always Home, the London Homeless Hospitality Center, and Thames River Family Services, and then Noank. And none of us would hit each piece of that pie alone,
Right.
but together we're all addressing
Yeah.
the need for diversion. And what I mean by diversion is, it's great to have a shelter, but it'd be better if the shelters are empty.
Right.
And as soon as we find someone, we're able to divert them back into the community without having to put them in shelters. So this grant is to help do that for these 4 agencies together.
I don't know
That's
about
fantastic.
you, but I'm already thinking of things that we could do together with the Mystic
Yeah.
Chamber. I'm thinking like the Work It program should probably come in maybe to the shelters. The Work It program is the chamber goes into the schools and talks to high school students about job interviews, and then they bring a panel of businesses, different
Yeah.
businesses that talk about how they found their niche, how they started their business, why they ended up in retail or hospitality or even engineering and that kind of thing, just to give people an idea of what's out there. So I think that would be a great collaboration. And of course, Jessica and I would love to come and
Absolutely.
teach some improv.
I was going to say
Yeah.
book club, but we can do improv.
For book club. But yeah, I feel like, and people watching too, if you have any collaboration ideas, then you talk to Kara because she's the programs manager. Now, we just have a minute or so left. So is there a message that you wanted to get out, or a last bit?
Just anyone in the community that wants to support Noank Community Support Services, please, the number you've had, just give me a call. I'm happy to find a way that we can use your resources. Thank you,
And
too.
Denasia, keep doing well and keep
Oh,
in
for
touch.
real.
We'll have to have you back, and
Yeah.
you can, maybe you'll be in Regina's seat.
Probably will, the way she's going.
And Kara, doing the work that you do, and she was a little nervous about being on TV, but I have to say, like, that kind of work and doing it for that long, I know that you've probably touched like hundreds of people that are probably watching this right now. And that's really important, like to have that love spread, and it makes me happy. I feel like
Yeah.
we've got a panel of angels here.
Yeah. Seriously, thank you.
So
like,
lucky.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
All right, now Noank Community Support Services.
yes.
And they are members of the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce, taking advantage of that as a nonprofit. It is a lower price, because we care.
That's right. We care. Hashtag. It's true.
It is true.
I know. I'm being totally serious.
I know.
I know.
Well, we're so pleased again to have Mystic Matters, and Jessica, thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
And please check us out on YouTube, SEC TV, and on our website, mysticchamber.org. Good night.
Bye.